going to throw a number out there. 82. In GTA Online, there are 82 vehicles that are over $1 million. And I think that's out of 500 or so total vehicles. But 82 vehicles over 1 million, that's quite a bit. But honestly, it's been 4 years. And for what we have, the crazy freaking vehicles we have in the game, I think that's somewhat reasonable. But I'm going to throw another number out there. $194 million. That is how much all 82 vehicles end up costing you if you were to buy them all. That is a lot of money. Almost $200 million just on new vehicles. And that doesn't even include the customization. That's just the base price. So in this video, what I want to do is talk about GTA Online and how the prices have changed over the years. So I will leave a link to the Google Doc page in the description if you want to check it out. This guy actually put a bunch of work and time into it. And it's kind of interesting to see, you know, what DLCs were more expensive than others. But going all the way back to 2013, GTA Online, when it comes to prices, was much different. Actually, in 2013, we really didn't get a DLC, or at least a substantial DLC. The only one we got was the Beach Bum, which actually everything was free in that DLC. Really, in 2014 is when we started to get the substantial DLCs, and I believe that's when we had the High Life, we had the Flight School, we had the Hipster DLC, and all of those DLCs were reasonably priced. In the thumbnail, you saw the Zentorno. That supercar, which was one of the best supercars in the game for quite some time, and it's still up there. I think it's still like top 10, maybe top 7, top 5, something like that. It only costs, what, $600,000? It's not anywhere near the 1.3 or the $2.4 million supercars we have in the game now. Really, the first DLC that introduced vehicles over $1 million was the Flight School DLC, and I think it was justified because at the time, most of the aircraft, most of the Pegasus vehicles were over $1 million because they were somewhat special. And in the Flight School DLC, I believe we had the Bessera, we had the Swift Flying Bravo, the Miljet, and most of those were in the $1 to $2 million price range. I believe you can see on this graph right here, which we'll talk about some of these other numbers in a second, but the Flight School DLC total was $4.25 million. And that's not bad, you know, for what it offered. Now, it wasn't one of the best DLCs. It was actually one of the worst DLCs, but for the planes and stuff, that fit with what was already in the game. But then, going along this graph, Heists came out. Heists, I think, was the start of these insane prices. But the one thing I'll say about Heists, even though the planes and the helicopters and stuff cost a ton of money, the way we could get money was really fun. And it actually gave out a decent amount of money compared to what we have in the game. I mean, the Heists, pay $400,000, plus you could do all the bonuses, which added like millions of dollars on top of all that. So despite this DLC bringing out expensive vehicles, it gave us a really fun way and a really great way to make money. But the Heist did bring the most expensive vehicle to the game, the Hydra, $3 million. And for what it can do, for what it has done, $3 million is kind of cheap, you know, if you think about it. But continuing through this graph, then we had the Ill-Gotten Gains 1 and the Ill-Gotten Gains 2. This was the introduction of the $2 million supercar. We had the Osiris with the first one, and then we had the T20 with the second one. Both of them were over $2 million, and that's a lot of money. I mean, look, it was worth it in the end because the T20 was really good. It's one of the best supercars for a while, and it looked really cool. But compared to what we had when the game first came out, that was a complete change from the beginning. One thing I will say with the Ill-Gotten Gain DLCs, I forget exactly which one, but that was the introduction of the Golden Swift and the Golden Luxor. So those did sort of inflate the prices a little bit of those DLCs. But then we moved to the Executives and Other Criminals, and this one was the one with yachts. Now, yachts aren't included in that $7 million price tag that you can see, but this did have the Super Volato Carbon, which is a helicopter that's $3 million. And the fact that a helicopter that really didn't offer anything was more than the Hydra now, that was sort of the start of the ridiculousness. Then we move on to the Finance and Felony. This is the one that came out that introduced the freaking Tug, the worthless $1.2 million boat that people spent money on thinking it would be good, but it turned out to be horrible. And it also came out with the Brigade, which was another $1 million Pegasus vehicle, which was horrible. I think the most expensive thing from that DLC was the X80, the $2.7 million supercar. $2.7 million for a supercar. That number was absolutely insane when we first learned about it. But to be fair, it was a completely unique supercar. It had a bunch of decent customization, and it was one of the best. So people just sucked it up and spent the money on it. And then that moves us to the Cunning Stunts. Now the Cunning Stunts, this one wasn't anything too special in terms of DLC. It was just the racing stuff. But in it, we got some of the old school supercars. The Tyrus, the RE7B, the ETR1, the Lynx. This was probably the most expensive DLC if we're just counting cars, because the Tyrus, $2.5 million. The RE7B, $2.4 million. The ETR, $1.9 million. The freaking waste of a sports car Lynx was $1.7 million. That's the most expensive sports car in the game, and it wasn't even good. So that $8.7 million price tag, that was only 4 cars. 3 were supers, 1 was a sport. But then moving on to bikers, they took it a little easy on us. And I think that was to be expected, because apart from the 1 or 2 crazy and unique bikes they added, most of them you can't really charge too much for. I mean, till this day, one of the best bikes in the game, the Akuma and then the Batty, those are like, what, $10,000? So they couldn't come out and say, oh, these new bikes are all $1 million. Now they did charge a couple $100,000 for them, but compared to what we had gone through, that was really nothing. Now in the Bikers DLC, the only 2 that were over $1 million was the Sanctus, which was $2 million, and the Shotaro, which was $2.2 million. Those were the 2 crazy unique bikes. One was the Halloween bike, and then one was the Tron bike. So, you know, I think by then that was sort of to be expected. Moving on, after that, this is when it skyrocketed. This in at the end of 2016, going into 2017, this is when it just got crazy. The import and export DLC. This is what kicked off, I think, Rockstar's want to make crazy-ass vehicles super expensive. Because in the import and export DLC, that's the introduction of the special vehicles. That's when we had the Ruiner 2000, the Rocket Voltic, all these crazy special vehicles that were like 3 million plus. And we all know the Rocket Voltic, 3.8 million. The Ruiner 2000, $5.7 million. The Ramp Buggy, 3.1 million. The Armored Boxville, 2.9. The Phantom Wedge, 2.5. Most of those aren't even that good. I mean, the Ruiner 2000 is still kind of unique and special because nothing does what it can do. But the Rocket Voltic for 3.8 million, we have 2 rocket cars out now. I mean, one's unreleased, but the Batman car is a rocket car, and then the Oppressor is a rocket bike. So basically, we spent $4 million for the Rocket Voltic to have it be replaced, you know, a couple months later. But that one, $25 million total for that DLC for the cars over 1 million. That's not for the total DLC. That's just for the cars that are over 1 million. So that was the start. And then it does drop for the special vehicle races, but that I don't count that because that really wasn't anything. I don't even remember what came in that DLC. I just think there was a few cars with it. But then the real successor to the import export was the gun running, and it's almost on the same level. $26 million for all the cars over 1 million. I mean, the MOC, the Oppressor, the APC, the XA21, the half track, the weaponized Tampa, all those were over $2 million. The freaking anti-aircraft trailer, which is a joke of a thing because you can't even have it on one of your other personal vehicles, was $1.8 million. Now, at least the APC and the Oppressor are unique. You know, Oppressor coming in at 3.5 million and then the APC at 3 million. Those are pretty cool because the APC, it's a tank that can go from land to water, and the Oppressor obviously can freaking fly and shoot rockets. So those were at least kind of cool. The other ones were kind of worthless though. And then that leads us to the one we just had, the Smugglers Run DLC, coming in at a whopping $56.7 million for all the vehicles over $1 million. And that does include some of the unreleased ones, but this, I hope, is the height. I mean, you can see in this graph, the red line gradually goes up. I really hope the next DLC isn't higher because that would just be insane. I really hope it goes back down now that they're done with the aircraft and some crazy vehicles. But in the Smugglers Run, we have the Bombushka, $5.9 million, and we all know it's horrible. The Laser is coming out soon. It is going to be $6.5 million, and you can't even do anything to it apart from paint it. You're paying $6.5 million for something that you can call in when you can just steal it from the military base very easily if you have a hangar in there. And then some of these other ones, the Tula, I think that's a waste of 5 million. The Molotov, not bad, but at a certain point, you're going to go back to the Hydra. The Pyro, 4.4 million. Again, not bad, but you're going to go back to the Hydra. The Hunter, 4.1 million. That's fine. All right. I'm okay with that. The Hunter, I've played with it. It's awesome. Super fun. I can understand it. But like the Vigilante, this is another one, 3.7 million. Just so much money for these things that aren't really that special. And like I said, 194 million for all of the vehicles that are in the game that are over $1 million. That's so much money. And unlike Heists, because Heists, like I said, was sort of the start of this, the Smugglers Run DLC didn't really give us a great way to make money. In fact, it gave us a worse way to make money. So not only did they bump up the prices by a ton, they made the new way to get money even worse. So that's why I say I really hope they learn from the Smugglers Run DLC, and I hope they don't ever do something like that again. You guys can let me know in the comment section what you think about this, but I just thought it was super interesting to see how the prices in GTA Online have changed over the years. I mean, yeah, some new ways to make money, like the import-export, the gun running, those have come out, but they still don't provide enough money for the prices, the super high prices that these vehicles require. But like I said, let me know in the comment section. Thank you all for watching. Please drop the video a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more awesome GTA content. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.